When the AK-47 was officially adopted in 1947, almost no one outside the Soviet Union paid attention. There were no parades, no grand announcements, no headlines in Western newspapers. To the world, it was just another Soviet rifle, crude, anonymous, and unremarkable. But history was already shifting, because the AK-47 was not designed to win admiration. It was designed to survive reality. The Soviet Union did not see World War II as the end of conflict. It saw it as a preview. Future wars, Soviet planners believed, would not be fought by small professional armies. They would be fought by massive conscript forces across ruined infrastructure in extreme climates, against enemies armed with modern technology. The AK-47 was built for that future. Chambered in 7.62 by 39 millimeters, it offered a balance between power and controllability. The cartridge could punch through cover, foliage, and light armor, ideal for urban combat and forests. The rifle itself was short, robust, simple. It could fire in semi-automatic or fully automatic modes. It could be stripped and reassembled in seconds. It could be abused and still work. This was not an accident. It was doctrine forged in steel. Western engineers often criticized the AK-47's loose tolerances. To them, it was inefficient, imprecise, unrefined. They were correct and completely wrong. Those loose tolerances meant dirt had space to move. Sand did not lock the action. Mud did not seize the bolt. Ice did not destroy timing. Where precision weapons demanded care, the AK demanded nothing. It fired when clean. It fired when dirty. It fired when forgotten. In war, that mattered more than accuracy. The AK-47's true debut did not happen in Europe. It happened in the shadow wars of the Cold War. As the Soviet Union armed its allies and proxies, the AK spread rapidly. Eastern Europe, Asia, Africa, the Middle East. Any movement aligned against Western influence could receive crates of rifles, ammunition, and basic training. The message was simple: you can fight. In the hands of poorly trained soldiers, guerrillas, and revolutionaries, the AK-47 proved devastatingly effective. It leveled the playing field. During the Korean War, early AK variants and similar Soviet weapons began appearing on the battlefield. American soldiers, trained primarily with semi-automatic rifles, encountered enemies capable of sudden bursts of automatic fire at close range. The psychological effect was immense. AK fire was loud, violent, relentless. Even when inaccurate, it suppressed. It forced movement. It created chaos. Firepower reshaped tactics. No conflict cemented the AK-47's reputation like Vietnam. In jungles thick with vegetation and humidity that rotted metal, American weapons struggled. The M16, early in its deployment, suffered catastrophic reliability issues due to poor ammunition, lack of chrome lining, and inadequate training. The AK-47 did not care. It functioned in rain. It functioned after days without cleaning. It functioned with inconsistent ammunition. Viet Cong and North Vietnamese soldiers trusted it completely. American soldiers noticed. Many preferred captured AKs over their issued rifles. That should have been impossible. It was not. The AK-47 became more than a weapon. It became a symbol. For revolutionary movements, it represented defiance against powerful enemies. For authoritarian regimes, it represented control. For superpowers, it became a tool of influence. Its silhouette appeared on flags, murals, and propaganda posters. It was no longer just a rifle. It was ideology made metal. One reason for the AK's dominance was manufacturing philosophy. The rifle was designed to be produced anywhere. Factories did not require extreme precision. Skilled labor was helpful, but not mandatory. As a result, the AK was produced in the Soviet Union, China, Eastern Europe, North Korea, Africa, the Middle East. Licensed, unlicensed, copied endlessly. By conservative estimates, over 100 million AK pattern rifles exist today. No weapon in history has ever come close. The United States eventually learned the lesson the hard way. Technology alone did not guarantee victory. Firepower mattered. Reliability mattered. Training mattered. The failures of early American rifles led to major reforms: improved M16 variants, better doctrine, and renewed emphasis on realistic combat conditions. But the AK-47 had already won something more important: time. It became entrenched. Few soldiers carrying an AK-47 knew its origins. Fewer still knew that part of its mechanical DNA traced back to an American rifle sent during World War II. The long-stroke gas system, the rotating bolt, the philosophy of robust operation. These ideas crossed borders silently. War has always worked this way. Enemies learn from each other. Mikhail Kalashnikov lived long enough to see his creation spread across the globe. He also lived long enough to see its consequences. The AK-47 armed soldiers, rebels, criminals, and children alike. It defended nations. It fueled conflicts. It became inseparable from modern warfare. Kalashnikov once said he wished he had invented something to help humanity, like a lawnmower. But inventions do not choose their legacy. History does. The AK-47 did not defeat the United States through direct confrontation. It did something far more enduring. It became unavoidable. The rifle born from Soviet doctrine, informed by American engineering principles, and hardened by global conflict, became the most influential firearm ever created. All because of a single rifle sent in 1943. A rifle meant to impress. The Soviets laughed. The Americans moved on. And the world changed. The transfer of technology was never intentional, but it was permanent.
The rifle that refused to disappear, legacy, myth, and unintended consequences. By the late stages of the Cold War, the AK-47 was no longer just a weapon. It was everywhere, in jungles and deserts, in frozen mountains and shattered cities, in the hands of soldiers, rebels, militias, and children. The rifle born from post-war Soviet fear, shaped indirectly by an American design meant to impress, had escaped the control of all nations. It had become immortal, from tool to icon. Most weapons remain tools. The AK-47 became an icon. Its silhouette was instantly recognizable: the curved magazine, the angled gas tube, the simple iron sights. Even people who had never fired a rifle could identify it. It appeared on flags, currency, propaganda posters, graffiti, revolutionary murals. Most famously, it was placed on the national flag of Mozambique, the only modern flag to feature a rifle. The AK-47 no longer represented just combat. It represented power. Why the AK would not die? The world moved on technologically. Assault rifles became lighter. Optics improved. Materials advanced. Yet the AK remained. The reason was brutally simple. It worked in failed states with no logistics, in conflicts with no supply chains, in armies with minimal training. The AK-47 demanded almost nothing from its user. Bad ammunition. It fired. Poor maintenance. It fired. Extreme heat or cold. It fired. Other rifles could outperform it. Few could outlast it. The rifle of the weak and the strong. Western analysts often describe the AK as the rifle of the poor. They were correct and dangerously incomplete. The AK was cheap, yes, but it was also strategically powerful. By flooding allies with AKs, the Soviet Union, and later Russia, China, and others, could influence conflicts without deploying troops. One shipment of rifles could change a war. The AK did not need instructors, spare parts, or advanced infrastructure. It carried its own doctrine, the American reflection. Over time, the United States came to an uncomfortable realization. The AK-47 represented everything American weapons philosophy had once rejected and everything it eventually had to relearn. Reliability mattered as much as accuracy. Simplicity mattered as much as innovation. Doctrine mattered as much as engineering. American small arms evolved. The M16 matured. The M4 was refined. Training improved. But the shadow of the AK remained. Even today, American soldiers trained specifically to fight against it. The myth versus the machine. The AK-47 became wrapped in mythology. Some claimed it was indestructible. Others claimed it was inaccurate and crude. The truth lay between. The AK was not magical. It could jam. It could wear out. But its genius was statistical. Across millions of rifles, in millions of hands, under millions of conditions, it worked often enough to dominate history. That was its real strength. Kalashnikov's burden. Mikhail Kalashnikov lived long enough to witness the full arc of his creation. He was celebrated as a hero in Russia, decorated, honored, But privately, he struggled. In his later years, Kalashnikov questioned his legacy. He did not regret designing a weapon for his country, but he regretted how widely it was used beyond it. "I wanted to defend my homeland," he once said. "I did not want criminals to have this weapon." But invention does not obey intention. The irony revisited. History is rarely fair. The United States sent one rifle to impress an ally. The Soviets laughed and learned. A wounded soldier studied its principles. From that moment forward, the outcome was sealed. The AK-47 was not a copy of the M1 Garand. But without the Garand, it might not exist in the same form. The irony is not that America helped create its enemy's weapon. The irony is that it did so unintentionally, through confidence. Technology has no loyalty. Weapons do not belong to nations. Ideas do not respect borders. Every great military innovation is studied, copied, adapted, and improved by rivals. The M1 Garand influenced the AK. The AK influenced Western doctrine. The cycle never ends. In war, superiority is temporary. Adaptation is permanent. A rifle that shaped the modern world. It is impossible to count how many conflicts the AK-47 has touched. It armed insurgencies. It upheld regimes. It prolonged wars. It became part of the visual language of conflict itself. When people imagine war, they imagine the AK. That alone defines its legacy. The final lesson. The story of the AK-47 is not just about a rifle. It is about arrogance and humility, about learning from enemies, about unintended consequences. It is about how a single decision, sending one rifle in 1943, can echo across generations. History does not reward intention. It rewards results. Closing the circle. The Soviets laughed. The Americans believed. The world adapted. And one rifle refused to disappear.